Hello, I'm John Furrier, Gemma Allen here at the MCP Dev Summit. This is a historic event. This really kicks off the Agentic AI Foundation, which we had an exclusive interview with Jim Zemlin, and the new executive director announced today, plus the AGNT was announced. Gemma, your AGNT podcast with Raphaëlle was just happening here. You're hosting a lot of content, you're in the details.
I mean, we had a great conversation just now about some of the big names in this space, right? So we talked OpenAI, we talked Anthropic, obviously Claude had an interesting week, we all know, maybe we'll get to that. But yeah, it's just great to be here. Like, John, I love tech, I love geeks, I actually married a geek. I love them that much, so it's just, I love mornings like this. And the Linux Foundation, I had a look, I was looking at the Wi-Fi, right? Their Wi-Fi passcode is Linux 1991.
Yeah, historic.
Like, think about, you've been on that journey with them. Like, fill us in.
The cube was present at creation, as we say, for the CNCF and KubeCon. Before it even started, the paper came out of Google. We tracked that. We've been to every single KubeCon in Europe and North America. This moment is cloud native next level because the AI is now coming in with the cloud native, and we are present at creation here with the Agentic AI Foundation. We'll be at every event. We've got a lot more coverage. We'll have our own dedicated podcast on this, as well as other cool leaders. And behind us, this is the original gangsters of this new wave that's happening. This is the players, the legacy that are reinventing themselves, the upstart modern brands that will emerge. There is a structural reset in the software business, and that category is called deep tech. And you're seeing that infused. And again, new brands at Gemma are going to arise, and existing players are going to either fall to the side or reinvent themselves. This is classic innovator's dilemma playing out in real time.
Well, I think it's undoubted that the who's who of tech are here today. If you look at their premier sponsor list, I mean, it's everyone you want to talk to, right, across the tech landscape. It's an interesting time broadly for tech, right? Like, in terms of their downloads, like 97 million SDK downloads a month across just 3 of those offerings, right? Like, it is insane in terms of the impetus that they're building, but it's also somewhat of a confusing time in tech, okay? We hear a lot about vibe coding, we hear a lot about the future of a software developer. Like, John, you've been on this journey a long time. Like, a picture 21-year-old John versus now. Like, what are your thoughts? How would you approach that? Like, what would you say to a 21-year-old?
When I was 21, open source didn't exist. It was proprietary. So now that it's going next level, I always say every 5 years, oh, it's open source next level. Again, it's next level. The younger generation and the older generation, the old systems architecture, old system, computer systems, they're coming together. It's not just the young, it's the old. It's a fusion of culture. But if the young guns are coming out, they're loving OpenClaw. If I was 21, I'd be smoking OpenClaw every night. I'd be coding away. I would be literally building all-nighters. It is a renaissance in computer science, but here's the catch. You don't have to get a degree in computer science to build. So I think we're going to see build, operate, and money making happen super fast, and this community here is just enabling it. So,
let's talk about the changing of the guard. We had Jim and Maslin in yesterday. I mean, very enthusiastic. It was great to see them, right? I laughed that Jim said it was a great day for him too, because maybe he can take somewhat of a step back. I'm sure that guy's been drinking a lot of Red Bull as well, right? What are your thoughts in terms of what's ahead? I feel like they've talked about governance, security, having guardrails within the community. Where do you think the priorities are?
Well, I think Jim Zemlin's psyched because he was doing all the heavy lifting. He's been working on this for many, many months. The new executive director has the pedigree. He's got a PhD. He's got an MBA from Wharton. He's got practical experience at Google, and he's a technologist. He understands that. I think the Linux Foundation has done an extremely good job of creating community, but they have the muscle. They know how to run events. They kind of know how to do this. So I think with the new executive director in place, I think it's going to be a very fun market, and the numbers speak for themselves. The downloads, like you mentioned, that's just open source. But if you look at some of the adoption outside of the classic demographics of a software developer, it's men, more women are coming in, you start to see access. So there is really a low bar to get into this community, and what Jim and the Linux Foundation has done is an extremely strong job of creating an inclusive culture to bring people in. And now with the coding coming down to just prompting your way in, not just vibe coding, actually building meaningful things. I think this Agentic AI Foundation will be bigger than CNCF, just given just the numbers and the sheer short-term adoption of members and so on. So I think it's going to be a really fun ride here.
Well, let's just talk open source for a wrap up, because I think it's an interesting time too in terms of what open source means right now, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a time where open source seemed like philanthropic. I'm an everybody kind of guy or gal, right? But really, it's also a way to like drive attrition, to retention and attrition, to basically have loyalty, right?
Yeah.
In SDK, it locks you in. You like it, you stick with it, and we've seen a tech ecosystem evolve where people have been loyal to stacks for a very long time.
Yeah.
In this era, we can't promise that. Like, what do you think is going to change?
Well, I can tell you right now, that's all from the market signals we're seeing on the Cube and the stuff we've been doing at the NYSE, it's our NYSE Wired community. It's really shifted in the architecture. It's container-based, it's API-driven, it's agent-powered. That is the consistency. The old model was virtual machines. That powered the cloud generation. Now the new world is containers and the AI stack that's emerging. That is the key pivot point, and Raphaëlle has been pointing out in her research similar structural change that will change cash flow projections that the bankers are all using. So this architectural shift is pretty massive and it's significant because that old VM world powered the cloud. So now you have a container model. Guess what that means? Red Hat, Docker, that kind of cloud native infrastructure is the substrate for this AI native world that's emerging super fast.
Well, we have some great people coming on with us today, John. Tell me, what are you going to ask them? Talk to me some of the tough questions you're going to put to them.
Well, it's hard to ask tough questions when you're in a euphoric and highly enthusiastic market. The enthusiasm is very high for Agentic. I love the Agentic infrastructure layer. I think that's developing out a lot like DevOps did in cloud, but it's kind of a data layer. We've been tracking this for over a decade, but now it's clearly more Agentic. That's nerds. That's like the Agent conference and was going to be at May. That's like really engineering kind of thinking. Then you have the tsunami of AI native developers. That's going to be the entrepreneurs, enterprise intrapreneurs, whatever you want to call them. So the enthusiasm is high. I want to know where the confidence is. I want to know what people are working on that's going to make the market go from highly enthusiastic and hype to confident where you can execute agents, security, some of that compliance stuff. It's kind of in the weeds. Again, the deep tech is the key. So you don't have the confidence, you can't execute, no enterprises will adopt. And if you don't have adoption, Gemma, it's going to be very clear who the winners are based on adoption.
So we're going to find out today from some of these great guests where the rubber will eventually, we hope, meet the road. Yeah. I'm excited, John.
Well, we're gonna have a great time here. Gemma Allen's all over. Check out the AGNT podcast. Talk about your podcast that you're working on. This is a really cool podcast.
We look at AGNT, that is the name of a hypothetical ticker that essentially has a defense moat in the agentic era, right? So if we think about the Fortune 100, 200, the Mag 7, if we were to really evaluate them as an orchestrator in the agentic realm, how truly defensible is their play? And that's what AGNT is all about, right? And it's a complex time. There's a lot of noise, as you say all the time. Sometimes not a whole lot of signal, but there's some very interesting theories that Raphaëlle has. And I mean, she's a phenomenal investor. She runs a hedge fund. She works with some big institutional backers. She makes a lot of money shorting a lot of stocks, so she's got some good theories.
Jem, I love how you can contextualize the business side of it, but what a lot of people don't know is that you had a career at Microsoft. You know something about developers.
I did.
What's your take on the developer market? You know a lot about developers, how they evolve, what's changed. What's your view on developers?
You know, I think that it's a very important time to be like a builder, right? That this impression of what a developer is in terms of what you are bringing, you know, every day is changing so rapidly. And I think the innovative side of it has never been more real than it is right now. Because there was a lot of, if you think about it, like I started in Microsoft 2007, I worked on Windows, John. You know how boring it was? I actually started just after the fall, and I say the fall of Windows Vista, because many people thought they were going to get fired after that product launch, right? And it was just such an interesting time. But from a developer perspective, what really excites me about all of the conversations we have at the Cube, at the NYSE, and on the road, is just a sense of community. I feel like it's more important than ever before. I think the conversations are happening so fast. There is so much agency if you know how to take it. right? As a developer, in this era, like anyone can build anything really, right? All you need is the grit. And as an Irish person, I'm all about the grit. So I think it's a great time.
Well, I love the perspective. You can go deep on the developer side and then contextualize. And again, talk about the social media team that we have here with theCUBE.
We have been growing a phenomenal social media team at the NYSC, and we've been bringing them on the road with us. These are just great guys to work with. So filmmakers, creatives, people with just like a wonderful skill set and a wonderful personality too, because John, it's all about having fun, right?
Yeah, and getting that signal, not noise.
We have a lot of fun on theCUBE every day. We have real conversations, but we also have fun, which I think is so important.
All right, more coverage. This is theCUBE podcast on location at the beginning of another foundation, the Linux Foundation. Super important moment of consequence for the Linux Foundation. Again, they have the muscle, they have the know-how, they know how to run events, they know how to build community, and the results are obviously in the numbers and in the results in the community. Thanks for watching.